This is the Genesis GV80 and I, nor anyone else, is driving it. This car is packed full of tech and coming in at just under $60,000, it has a lot to offer. Does that come with any compromises? Well, let's find out. Guys, today we are taking a look at this 2021 Genesis GV80 with the Prestige package. Let's get into it. Now, because tech is such an integral part of this vehicle, we're gonna start with some of the key technology features, starting with your infotainment right here. You can see we have a nice home screen right there. It's gonna show you a little bit of your weather along with your map location. Moving from there, we're going to get to sort of a main menu area. Now, I want you to pay attention to how nicely this scrolls. This menu is very snappy. You have some very high resolution and a very high frame rate right here, really adding to that premium experience in the vehicle. We have our typical suspects here, your phone, your Sirius XM, your map. There is nothing really special right there. Moving on from there, of course, you have all sorts of media. Most of you are probably just going to be using your phone projection. This is a 14.5-inch screen, by the way. Let's move into setup right here. You can see that you could set it up for different drivers. So you can have a driver 1, a driver 2, and the car's going to remember a bunch of different settings for your user profile. Moving back from there, we have the sounds of nature. These are going to be sounds like forests, cafes, something to add to a little bit of elegance in the vehicle to give you just that little bit of extra luxury. You can hear the sound, the snowy village right now. If I turn it up, and this really highlights how good the sound system is in this vehicle. I thought someone was walking up behind the car. That's how good the footsteps sounded coming from behind me with this surround sound system. Moving on from there, there is a physical home button if you ever need to get back. We can keep on scrolling. And you have a valet mode, of course. That's going to limit the speed so no one's driving your vehicle recklessly. And then you have seat adjustments right here. These are going to allow you to adjust the passenger seat. So let's say I wanted to move the seat back. I can hit the arrow here and move the passenger seat. I just bumped the tripod with it. That's going to be a really great feature if you have to move that seat, maybe make room for something in the back, and you don't want to lean over and push the button. There is an absurd amount of ways to adjust each seat in this vehicle. Passenger talk is similar to what Honda does. This is just going to allow you to talk to your rear passengers. It's going to use the microphones in the front and project your voice in the back. You might be able to hear an echo right now from that. And there's not too much else in this vehicle infotainment system that's really unusual or special, but it has a very, very nice screen. They did an excellent job with it. One other place this vehicle really shines is its cameras. The vehicle is in drive right now, and I'm going to put it in reverse. And now you will see that brings up these cameras, which are very high definition. And of course, they have guidance, as you would expect, but these are not the coolest cameras. Let's say that I wanted to look at the drone view. You can see now I can pan around the vehicle, and it is like we have a drone flying outside. And if I put the car, let's say into drive, one other cool camera feature is that you can see the wheels and make sure you're not curbing your wheels. So that is fantastic. But I want to go back to this drone view. As I start driving, you're going to see the wheels are moving. And you can see it's almost like we have a drone flying around the car, showing us a live feed of where we're going. That is a cool feature. Now, looking at your center display, this vehicle does not have the fully digital crazy display with the 3D graphics and whatnot, but it does have a nice little sort of center instrument cluster that's half digital and half analog. You can see as I scroll through, it's pretty basic trip information here. Most people will probably keep it locked right on the speed. You have your attention level, nothing too crazy or out of the ordinary here. The one cool thing is your blind spot monitor. So if you put on your turn signal, it's gonna pull up a camera showing you your blind spot on either side, alerting you to any drivers there. Now, speaking of tech, I want to show you how to do that little parking trick that I showed you in the intro. Now, here's a clip of the key. On the key, you can see that there is a button labeled P with a little arrow for the car going forward and back. Now, that's how we're going to move the car without even being in it. So first, we're going to lock the car, and I'm going to activate the remote start. There we go. And now all we're gonna do is we're gonna take that button on the key and we're just gonna hold it. So I'm gonna move it forwards right now. And what's really cool about this is if you are locked in a place, like there's a parking spot and you can't get into the car, you can pull it in and out just like that. That is a really cool feature, especially for maybe like a city buyer. And as you can see, I can move it backwards just by hitting the opposite button. So that could be a really useful feature. Is it more of a gimmick? Maybe, but it's a really cool one. Now you join me at the front of the vehicle. Let's talk about the exterior a little bit. This grille right here, you may love it, you may hate it. I personally think it has a little bit of the catfish, just wide open gaping look. So I'm not a fan, but if you like it, then that is awesome. Looking at your headlights right here, of course you have full LED, you have high beam assist on this vehicle, and that's going to give you, it's essentially gonna turn the high beams off if you have oncoming traffic. Now, looking up here, I want to bring your attention to the cameras. This vehicle has a bunch of cameras in it that's going to help with the safety system and whatnot. It also has a feature that's going to use the cameras to look for potholes and speed bumps, and it's going to adjust the damping of the suspension accordingly to reduce ride harshness. That feature is going to be standard in the vehicles with the 3.5 turbo. This one has the 2.5. We'll talk about engine in just a little bit. At the side of the vehicle, we have a $500 Lima red color that's working really well with those 20-inch wheels. These are part of the $4,250 Prestige package. Something that's really cool about this vehicle is the active noise cancellation system. It works very well. It's going to make the ride in the cabin much quieter. Part of that system are accelerometers in the wheel, and what that's going to do is the computer is going to interpret the data from those accelerometers, and before road noise can move from here into the cabin, it's going to interpret that data and send it to the active noise cancellation system, which is going to play essentially an opposite frequency. It's going to cancel out the noise from the road. I know that sounds very technical, but essentially what it means is it's going to cut out a lot of noise in your ride, and you really can tell it really does work. You do have aluminum doors and an aluminum hood. Most of the body here is going to be made of ultra high strength steel or high strength steel. And then you have acoustic glass, which is again contributing to that really quiet ride. Your mirror right here, it is heated. It does have your blind spot in it, and it is power folding. Overall, they did a really nice job here at the side. I like the styling back here, especially that rear quarter. Let's take a look at the very back. Let's talk about the rear. You can see the first feature starting right now. Just by standing near the back, the vehicle will open the trunk. I just have the key right here. I didn't kick my feet under. The vehicle just opened the trunk when it sensed I was back here. That is a pretty neat little feature. You can also, of course, open it using this button or pressing a button that's located on the wiper of all places. Kind of interesting. Looking in here though, you're gonna have 33.9 cubic feet of space. Putting this all down, you're gonna have around 84 cubic feet of space. You can put the second row down by pushing two buttons back here, and that's going to give you your full cargo space right there. Also kind of cool is you have a tonneau cover back here. You can also get an optional third row if you would like. You have LED taillights back here that of course look a lot like your headlights. They are modeled after each other, and your exhaust look kind of like your grille, which is interesting. Overall, a functional rear with some pretty neat features. If you're liking the video, consider subscribing for more weekly car reviews. All right, let's get back to it. Let's get into the GV80. Here is your key. It's got a really nice weight to it. Nice metal key buttons as well. To get in the vehicle, just put your hand on the handle. And in we go. Door closes, has a good thud to it. You can see the steering wheel's gonna move to me. My seat's gonna move. It's gonna move back when you get in the vehicle to make the entry easier, and then once you're sitting down, it'll move to the driving position. Let's turn the car on. It will come to life without much fanfare. Really, all that active noise cancellation, all of the acoustic glass and whatnot, it all comes together to make for a very quiet ride. Now, the thing I noticed when I got in here, is that the interior, sort of the center right here, says Palisade to me. A little too much part sharing for my liking right there. It just has a very similar design to Hyundai. It's a nice design, but I would like to see a little bit of differentiation for the Genesis brand. But one thing this car did excellently is the materials. As part of the $3,900 advance package, you're getting this open pore wood throughout the interior. It's on the door panels. It looks really great and it feels fantastic as well. Also, we have real leather in here. That's part of the $4,250 prestige package. That means we're getting leather instead of leatherette. Looking around the rest of the interior, let's talk about the design language. It is pretty nice overall. Lots of different swoops and stitching. We have all this soft touch up here. Really great feature there. One interior feature I want to call the attention to that just kind of shows the level of detail in here is this long air vent right here that goes across the vehicle. When you move the little slider, this metal bar stays at the same location, so it looks nice and uniform and continuous throughout the vehicle. That is attention to detail right there. They did a really great job with that. Just adds to the cohesiveness of this interior. Really, the only aesthetic piece I don't like about this interior is the steering wheel. I feel like something's weird is going on here without sort of the little piece in the middle, or I'm not quite sure what it is, but it looks a little off to me. Let me know what you think, if it looks off to you or if I'm just being crazy. Overall, I think they did a pretty nice with the initial interior impressions. Let's take a deeper dive and see just how good of a job they did. Now, I want to take a moment to talk to you all about packages because this vehicle has two very significant ones. One is the advanced package. That's going to cost $3,900. Some of the key features that's going to get you: a heated steering wheel, ventilated front seats, that matte wood we saw inside. You're also getting a Genesis digital key that's going to allow you to use your phone to control a lot of vehicle functions and, of course, operate the vehicle. You're also getting the spectacular panoramic sunroof, which really isn't quite panoramic because it's cut out in the middle, but it is a really nice feature. It's going to let a lot of light into the car. Then, starting at $4,250 is the Prestige package. That's going to get you heated second row seats. You're also getting that smart parking assist that we saw earlier. On top of that, you are going to get the surround view monitor with the blind spot little cameras we saw earlier, and you're getting leather seating instead of the leatherette. Let me tell you about the seats. This vehicle has the $4,250 Prestige package, which adds these Ergo Motion seats. Now, they are leather. You get leatherette if you don't get the leather from that Prestige package, but you can see it is a power adjustable seat. It moves in a whole different manner of ways. Can be adjusted through the infotainment, as we saw earlier. It can be adjusted through the side, or you can even adjust the passenger seat from the shoulder. So if the person in the back wanted to adjust the seat, they could reach up and do that. Now, a seat has 7 different air pockets in it. It will massage you. It will also use posture correction. So if you're on a long drive, it will kind of adjust you, keep you all limber on your drive. Very cool feature from Genesis. Let's take a look at your center area right here. Apologies for any fan noise. It is a scorcher today, if you couldn't tell from my sweat in all of the other clips. So you can see you have some physical buttons. Those correlate to the infotainment system. You know, when you're in your menu, if you want to quickly go your navigation or whatnot, you can do that from right there. Then you can see that you have your temperature dials for your automatic climate control, and in them you will see the temperature. It's kind of what General Motors used to do and kind of made big. A lot of brands have followed them in that manner, and Genesis has joined that. You can see that we do have ventilated and heated seats, so I'm actually going to turn on my ventilated seat right there. And you have control of your fan speed in that little screen. It has a nice haptic feedback to it, so the screen buzzes when you tap it, letting you know that you have done an action. Some people I know will only want the physical buttons, but this has not been terrible to live with. Looking at your more general area here, you can see that you have that shifter dial right there and the little ring, which is going to control your infotainment. Now, I should note that ring that for the infotainment also has haptic feedback, just like the temperature controls. You also have buttons for brake hold, so if you get to a stop, you can take your foot off the brake and the vehicle will not creep forward until you press the gas pedal. You also have physical buttons for your volume and tuning knobs, along with buttons to navigate the infotainment with a home, back, and menu button. Then you can see we have cup holders with the little nubs to hold your drink in, a drive mode selector. The drive modes in this vehicle are a custom, a sport, an eco, and a comfort. You should probably keep in comfort. The eco mode definitely makes the vehicle feel extremely sluggish with this 2.5T. And then of course you have hill descent control, a camera button for accessing all those cameras we saw earlier, and park assist. So overall, definitely a very functional area. It's nice that you can cover everything up with the matte wood. Also, something that I did not mention is the Qi wireless charging that you have right there under your climate controls, along with 2 USB-A ports. Would be nice to see some USB-C there. Here in the center is nothing too special. It's almost exactly the size you would expect. You could fit a person there and, you know, just throw change in there and whatnot. Under the hood of this GV80, you are going to find a 2.5 liter inline 4-cylinder turbo engine putting out 300 horsepower and 311 pound-feet of torque. You can expect around 21 miles to a gallon in the city, around 25 on the highway. Now, this engine can send power to either the rear wheels or all wheels, because all-wheel drive is an option on the 2.5 liter engine. There is a larger 3.5 liter engine that's going to get all-wheel drive as standard. And with the 3.5 Prestige, you even get an electronic limited slip differential that's going to help split power between the rear wheels and give you more grip in challenging terrain. But overall, pretty neat little engine that they've crammed into this space. Let's talk driver assistance features. This vehicle has a whole suite of them, the most impressive of which is probably Highway Driver Assist 2. That's going to be a semi-autonomous highway driving mode where it's going to stay centered in the lane and it's going to control your speed using the adaptive cruise control. Of course, that means this vehicle does have adaptive cruise control. It has some evasive steering assist technologies in it. You're also getting forward collision avoidance along with a blind spot collision avoidance, not just monitoring. That is a really neat feature. Here in the back, it's a pretty nice place to be for 2 passengers. A 3rd passenger would notice that there is quite a hump here. You have some nice amenities. This vehicle has tri-zone climate control, so you get your own climate zone back here. And that's great because you also have heated seats and all of your climate controls right here in the center console. And of course, air vents. You would expect that in an SUV of this size and price. You have 2 USB-A ports back here along with a household outlet. One would expect to see some USB-C ports, just like I said, up front. Now, you do have a center fold-out cubby right here. That gives you a nice armrest, and you can pop out 2 cup holders. But that's not the coolest feature back here, in my opinion. That is this center seat. So if you're going skiing or something, you can fold down just the center, like I mentioned, and leave up the 2 areas. Now, here's a neat little attention to detail. Normally, when you have a middle folding seat like this, there's a little bar sticking out that holds the seat in place when it's up and locks it and keeps it really sturdy. Genesis has engineered that little lever almost to fold away so that when this is down, there is nothing blocking this center hallway. That is a really small attention to detail I've only ever seen right here. That's a really cool feature. Nice area overall. It all comes together between the power, the climate zone, and the panoramic sunroof, and little features like this make for a great rear experience. For Genesis's first foray into large SUVs, the GV80 has a lot to offer, especially coming in at under 60 grand. It's got a lot of features, but those features don't always work so great. You see, a lot of the shots in this video I had to shoot multiple times because the vehicle didn't do exactly what I wanted or what I expected. For example, whenever I try to get it to move using the key feature on the key, it doesn't always work. Sometimes it goes a few feet and stops for no discernible reason. Sometimes the remote start is finicky. It's just kind of odd. Also, the rear tailgate, when I approach it, it doesn't always open. Even if I repeat the same thing that got it to work in a clip, if I do the exact same thing again, it doesn't always work. Things like that have to be addressed if they're going to be competing in this market. But if you can overlook a few of the more gimmicky features having a little bit of quirkiness to them and not working all the time, there is a lot to like here for $60,000. They did a good job on interior refinement. You're getting that excellent active noise cancellation. So it is something to consider. Thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to let me know in the comments what you thought of this video. Also, I want to ask you all, what do you call multiple Genesises? Genesi? I wasn't sure, so I thought I would ask you all. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. Please consider liking and subscribing. Can't wait to see you all in next week's video.